Because I saw the Jim Carrey one, but it was kind of like, it was like one tweet or like, you know, like, I don't think.
Which again, I didn't read what she did.
It was like Jim Carrey getting canceled. It was just like people saw that tweet and they liked it and they were like, damn, that's crazy. Or did you see whatever? I think the Zoe Kravitz was the only one.
I didn't read it.
Because also it has to do with Jaden Smith, who is, I mean, like how insane.
What was going on there? She
had made like some like really inappropriate comments about him when he was like 14 and she was like 24. Like about her being like
attracted to him.
Yeah, and then being like, oh, he's 14, like I shouldn't, that's inappropriate, but like he's so fine or something like that.
Like her mentioning and saying like, oh, when you're older, like, you know, we'll come back.
And everybody was like, oh no,
Zoe Kravitz redshirted Jaden Smith?
Yeah, very groomy.
Which is nasty. Like, that's a little creepy. Like, not groomy. A little, that's creepy, period. Yeah. Why would you, like, and creepy. Again, that's one of those things where I'm like, listen, we can sit here and be like, people make mistakes and people, you know what I mean, and you're young. Or like I saw somebody be like, I don't know, it just seems like she's talking about like intrusive thoughts, which number one, listen, I get into.
Don't make those intrusive thoughts public.
That's what I mean. Like, I get intrusive. Don't claim this as intrusive thoughts. If they are, why are you talking about them on an interview? Don't talk.
Was it like a video interview or was it written?
I think it was written. Ooh, I don't know.
That changes things a little for me because have you ever said something? And then you read the transcript and you're like, that's not how I like meant to say that, or that's not how it came off in my mind, and like my tone of voice and things like that. I feel like
it's one of those things, like that is, you can't really mistake it that much. I mean, you know what I mean? If it's a quote, it doesn't matter what the context was.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess maybe you're right. I just know I've read transcript of what I say and I'm like, that sounds so cold. And I said that shit funny, dog. Like, y'all need to write on there how funny that was, or y'all need to write on there that I was crying.
I feel like that's where you're like, I like, even if I have done some questionable things, you know what I mean? It's like, I am pretty positive that I'm not one day gonna get canceled for making inappropriate comments about a 14-year-old. You know what I mean? Like, people make mistakes. That one can be one of them.
That one cannot be one of them. He's attractive, or that he's attracted to her.
About
she's
being
attracted
like,
to him.
Fuck, I'm gonna look it up because I feel like.
Well, if nothing happened between them when he was,
but it doesn't matter. Like, number one, the fact that you said it, it's, even if we pay it as like legally, an intrusive thought, even if we're like, it's an intrusive thought, you know what I mean? Which, like, those are like, we understand what they are. We understand that they don't mean anything. You don't know. It's like a psychological thing. Like, I've talked about it in therapy. An intrusive thought is something that's very like inappropriate and like immoral, whatever, that you recognize as something that it's like,
it's out of character.
It's very out of character, and it's not something
morally like not something that
it's not something that you would actually do, but sometimes your mind is just like processing information.
Break it down. Give me look. You can put the definition up here. That's why I brought it up here.
I can't put it.
So like, an intrusive thought was like, what if I am driving? Like, if you're driving, you're like, what if I just like swerved and like crashed into that person?
Here,
it's like, realistically, you don't want to do it.
Gotcha.
You know that you don't want to do it, but for a split second, your mind's like imaginative side is just like,
let's break it down. So
an intrusive thought is an unwelcome, involuntary thought, image, or unpleasant idea that may become an obsession or is upsetting or distressing and can feel difficult to manage or eliminate. So that really does mean a lot of like...
So OCD. It's involuntary, right? So you're not trying to think about these things, and they can be very inappropriate. They can be very upsetting and whatever.
You could pretty much be like, oh, yo, I should not be thinking this.
Yeah.
Got it. And like, I'm sure there's tiers to it. It looks like from you keep reading. There's like mild, intrusively,
thoughts, blah, and then
blah. Okay. So got you. That's wild. I've never heard that before.
I've talked about like I've talked about that shit in therapy, like, and they can happen in very different like themes and whatever. That's a very real thing. Even if that was a real. Like, even if that was an intrusive thought, why would you talk about it? Like, intrusive thoughts also are typically like fleeting. Like, you don't think about them afterwards. You usually tend to like recognize.
They don't have any foundation inside your character or your personality.
Absolutely. Even more awesome for Zoe was spending time with the Smith clan when the cameras weren't rolling. There were, quote, there were moments that I was hanging out with Jaden and thinking, I can't believe you're 14. I have to check myself, like what I say to you. He has so much personality, so much swag. He's so much cooler than I am, and he's so handsome. I was like, when you're older, you know, we'll hang out. Nope, that's inappropriate. You're 14, is what she said. And that's a quote. in my head, I'm like, girl, there's no context needed because there is no context in which saying that would be okay. You see what I'm saying? It's like, we don't need context because if you weren't 18, you weren't 17, you were 24. You cannot pay me to say that about a 14-year-old. You know what I mean? Like, there is no context that would make that any less inappropriate.
Yeah.
And I think
right here,
that's where it's like, you can't defend that.
Yeah, it seems very cold.
Because whenever R. Kelly said that about people coming after his ass, and are like, you should not be saying shit like that.
Imagine it was a 24-year-old male
saying that about a 14-year-old girl.
Yeah, it would be like, ew, what the fuck are you talking about? They're a child, a 14-year-old.
Yeah, that's
some 14-year-olds don't even have to. Like, what is wrong with you? You don't say that.
We're trying. That is also something that purposefully is being told to society that is something that we should start unlearning. Yeah. So if it's something that
what specifically?
Like the idea that actually just saw a video about an older man, a dad was with his son, and the dad was like, damn, look at those girls, blah, blah. And the little boy goes, Dad, what you talking about? Those girls aren't even half your age. And he's like, no, it's not a big deal. He's like, no, Dad. And he literally was like, no, R. Kelly out here. He called him R. Kelly. He's like, you can't say those.
Is this like a
real video?
It's a real video?
It's a real video of a
real
young,
people or like people are acting?
Of a young black boy telling his dad that he should not be making comments about young women like
because that shit is so normalized.
And because right now, as a collective society, we've understood that that's something that happens a lot, and that we're like constantly promoting now that it's like, hey, those kinds of comments can't be made.
It changes everything whenever Zoe's 24 and he's 14.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
It changes everything.
And I think
I didn't read that, and nor do I mean, to be honest, I still I don't. It doesn't like have any gravity on me, other than the fact that like that's just kind of wild. But when I read that Zoe Kravitz thing, and then I saw what she said, I was all like, man, y'all are wilding too. Like, she could have done something bad and still made a good point about what the fuck she was saying about the Oscars. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna necessarily negate her good point just because like she doesn't. Which was their point of like, yo, shut up, because like you shouldn't even be talking. And I'm like, well, she did talk and she made a good point. So,
well, also, and I want to say, if we're talking about the Zoe Kravitz thing, I think also it makes a difference the fact that she is also famous and she did say it in a public forum. Yeah. Because again, I've known men, grown men, that were talking about Billie Eilish when she was underage and talking so much about how attractive she was. And I was like, that's so wrong. And they're like, oh, well, like, I would never actually do anything because she's like, you know, younger and whatnot and this and that. And I'm like, but don't even say it. Yeah. Like, don't, you know, like, I understand. Exactly. That's the thing. I understand that this is something that might just pop up in your head, but like, keep that shit to yourself. Don't say it out loud because it's not right. And definitely don't ever attempt to act on something like that.
I knew a girl that said that about Billie Eilish when she was 17.
I also think it's even worse that Zoe Kravitz were to go and say that somewhere public, that then Jaden can go and see that. Like, that can come back to him. You don't think
this was about her being around the Smith family?
Yeah,
like,
I wonder if they hung out.
And now, and exactly that's what I'm saying. Like, but now they're gonna like be around each other.
No, but like
since then,
like did
I don't know,
probably.
But if they had,
I wonder what Jaden has to say about
either A, it's going to be this idea of like, he's now uncomfortable having to be around this woman that made these comments, or B, he's going to be like, oh shit, I have a shot, and try to like make this thing happen. And now she is grooming him. Like she just went and like made this statement, and now he's like coming to her, and like now they're gonna, you know.
That's a good point. I didn't even see it that way. I wonder what happened between them.
Yeah, nothing, probably.
Anyway. Yeah, that was the last point of like just seeing how I was going through the timeline, and I was like, holy shit.
It's
not only are they coming for Will
unraveled.
or Chris or whatever, but now they're coming for everybody else that's picking a side. You know what I mean? The fan bases on both sides are coming for everybody else that's picking a side.
It goes to show how quick the internet can like switch up on you, bro.
Yo, the internet is still undefeated. The Batman just
came out. Everybody was so far up Zoe Kravitz's ass.
For real. I saw the funny thing one that was like, I'm so glad this happened to Zoe Kravitz.
We can focus on Zendaya again.
I was like, yo, don't ever let Zendaya do something crazy.
She won't.
And we know about it.
We know she won't, my Virgo queen.
Zendaya would never.
Zendaya would never.
That's what they said about Will Smith till he slapped somebody.
True.
He will have
so he got on stage and was all like,
whatever consequences you need to have. Remember a couple of episodes ago when you were like, what are your, like, what was it? Like deal breakers or whatever? Like morally or whatever? It's like a slap I can get past. Harassment, I can't.
Yeah, I remember what you were saying. Yeah, are there more non-starters? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Now, I also just looked up a picture of Jaden at 14 years old. Zoe Kravitz is wrong for that, man.
I didn't even think about that. Yo, that shit is public. You can find. You can find the Karate Kid,
bro.
You can find a baby. He looked like a baby. He's our age.
Yeah. He's always looked really young, but also like nobody looks right at 14.
Girls
look right at 14.
Okay, again, if we're talking about intrusive thoughts, there are times that you like. There are young girls and young women that like grow young. You know, that get feminine women features young.
Here's the thing.
Oh, okay. I was all like, nobody grows young. Everybody grows old.
Here's the thing, though. Again, I feel like it's the way that you say it, because like we used to work at or you still work there. But I used to work at a gymnastics place for kids, right? And like there were girls there that I was like, damn, you're gonna grow up and you're gonna be the shit. I see it. You're gonna be one of the hot bitches in your school, and you're gonna like. I hope that you're not a mean girl.
I would never.
But
say
that's
that.
different. Like it's different to be like, you're gonna be so cute when you grow up. Like I can see you're gonna have all the bitches like eating off the palm of your hand, and you know what I mean. Them being like, I better calm down.
Yeah,
calm down for what? Calm down about what? Why are you saying?
Why are you excited?
What do you need to calm down from? Why are you saying that? Like that's weird.
That is weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you're right. Until next time. Hope you guys like the setup. We love it.
I know.
And Carbot, give us some beer.